Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment, and it's finally over. We've made it to the end of Ahsoka with episode 8. And do we get answers? Do we realise what's in Thrawn's cargo? Do we find out what Balin is searching for? Do we find out how Ezra's going to react to the information of how exactly they got to him? No. No, we don't. We don't learn anything. As a matter of fact, this last episode was a complete, utter waste of time. Oh my good God. And it shows how bad Dave Filoni is at writing this live action stuff, and just what a terrible story all around it has been. And it really shows how incompetent this version of Grand Admiral Thrawn actually is. We all asked that question when he let Sabine go to reunite with Ezra. Why would you do that? Why did you spend 10 years on a planet and not even try and kill Ezra? Well, it all comes back to bite him in the ass, basically, because we hear him say he's not going to underestimate any Jedis ever again. It's not going to happen. Yet he seems to continuously underestimate Jedi. We're not going to underestimate them, so we're going to let them all team back up together. That's so goddamn stupid. He does send out TIE fighters to take out Ahsoka, Sabine and Ezra on the ship, which they keep calling a Jedi shuttle, but alright, whatever. Do you think he sends out an entire squadron of TIE fighters and stuff? No, that'd be too easy. He sends two TIE fighters, and while they're on their way, do you remember last week when Sabine tried to hand Ezra back his lightsaber and said, "Here, take it, it's yours anyway," and he was like, no, you keep it. He wouldn't take the lightsaber, he wouldn't take the blasters, he just said all he needed was the Force. Yet ironically he ended up having to use the stormtroopers' blasters. Well, the guy who doesn't need his lightsaber and uses the Force is building a new lightsaber. That's right, our first introduction to Ezra this episode is him constructing a brand new lightsaber. By the way, where the fuck did he get the kyber crystal? Don't know. But you're not going to believe this. This is still insane. Throughout this entire episode, and by the time it ends, they still never told Ezra how exactly they got there. I'm not kidding. They still had not told Ezra. Oh, by the way, Sabine handed Balin the map. Fucked us all over just on the off chance that you were still alive and would see you again. They never told him. He never found out how the hell they got there, and it never seems to come up this episode. Sabine and Ahsoka are having a chit chat to each other on the outside of the ship. That's right, they seem to love being on the outside of this fucking Jedi shuttle, which is flying just above the turtle people as they travel about 2 miles per hour. Ezra comes out and is like, "Hey, we're ready to go," and the 2 TIE fighters come in. Do you remember how those other starfighters chased and shot this ship for like 20 minutes and didn't put a scratch on it? And how in episode 3, I think it was, when they arrived to that planet where the map was, those ships couldn't do damage to Ahsoka's ship even when it had no power. Well, they seem to have forgotten that this thing is impenetrable, because the 2 TIE fighters instantly damage the thing. They take the engines out on it, and they're like, Ezra and Ahsoka jump off and try to use the Force to hold it up because they're right above the Ninja Turtle weirdos, and they're getting close to squashing them. So they're using the Force to hold it up. And Sabine uses the one last blast the engine has to fly kamikaze and smash right through the two TIE fighters, which in turn takes down the ship and crashes it. To which they leave Huang to try and fix. And the thing looks like it's in tatters, like it's smashed into the ground. The engines are blown to shit. Yeah, doesn't look good. But Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra take the space doggies and ride off towards, what do you call it? The Star Destroyer. And we get some stupid moments, such as the explanation of just how far away Ezra was to the Star Destroyer, because Thrawn is talking with his number one stormtrooper dude, the dude with the gold face. He has a name. I can't remember what the hell the name is, and I don't care. He's like, he informs Thrawn. He's like, yeah, they got a shot in that disabled the ship, and that's the last thing we heard before we lost communication. And Thrawn says, show me where the shuttle went down. And the map, there's like the holographic map that shows the Star Destroyer, just goes a bit to the side and a little red dot pops up, and you're like, wow, they are literally next to them. Like, you could probably see where Ahsoka is from the Star Destroyer. They're that fucking close. They're probably, I guess one way to explain it, the distance, is to say the Star Destroyer is at one end of Central Park in New York. Ahsoka and shit is at the other end. They're that close. And they see that they're coming riding in on the space doggies. And while they're there travelling in, they ask, or Ahsoka asks Hugh Wang, like, how's it coming with the ship? He's like, yeah, don't wait for me. Before all this is happening, Morgan at the start gets an upgrade. The three mothers give her extra powers and a sword, because that's what everyone wants to see, a sword versus a lightsaber. Oh god. But Thrawn says, rain down hellfire on them as they're travelling in, and all the turrets on the Star Destroyer just start firing directly down at the ground at them and doesn't hit them. They send a battalion of about 20 or so stormtroopers, which are now called the Night Troopers, that the sisters have given the powers to. Yes, these are the ones that, once they're taken down, turn into zombies. And yes, they are full on zombies. They are even making zombie noises. But they were volunteers. It wasn't like Thrawn just went, hey, let's get a battalion and send it out. No, he comes down as they give them all their instructions. They bugger off, and he turns around to Morgan and goes, is that the volunteers? And they're like, yeah. So they go down, they're fighting, they're all getting taken out, but then they all start standing up, and Sabine, Ahsoka, and Ezra go running off and start locking all the doors behind them to slow them down. This, by the way, is all happening after Thrawn said he's never going to underestimate the Jedi again, and yet seems to continuously underestimate the Jedi. He says, we need more time to Morgan. Morgan's like, I understand. By the way, the one thing that is explained in this, we actually do get a bit of information, and it is how the hell they plan to get the Star Destroyer home. Well, it connects to the big space donut. The space donut is essentially acting like the hyperdrive system for the Jedi starfighters in the prequels. Remember, they used to just connect up into it and off they toddle? Well, that's what this is. So it comes down, connects over the Star Destroyer, and it's like clamps come out and lock onto it. That's the only thing we actually get discovered, is how they were planning to get that back. So Morgan goes down, she intercepts Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra. She tells them to go stop Tron. I've got this. They wander around. Ahsoka and Morgan have a fight. You can tell that it's not the actress who plays Morgan and Rosario Dawson in the fight when you're seeing it from the angle where you can see them fully, because they're so fast at their fight. And we know Rosario Dawson is not that quick. Not to mention, like, when she's blocking fire, like blaster fire from the stormtroopers, she's really slow at moving. And all of a sudden, this is like looking at Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan. You know, it's that quick, and it's like, yeah, that's not them. But they're fighting. Sabine and Ezra come running out on top of the big tower thing. Two, what looks like dead troopers, comes in and pretty much kick the shit out of Sabine and Ezra. And then the moment happens that we all knew was going to happen. Sabine drops her lightsaber. This night trooper thing pulls her helmet off. Yes, she has the helmet back. He's holding her, choking her against the pier. Ezra's getting the shit kicked out of him over the other way. He's dropped his lightsaber. And she sticks her hands out and uses the Force. That's right. She now has the Force. And just summons the lightsaber and runs it through the dude's head, and Ezra calls his lightsaber and cuts off the other head. By the way, I forgot to say, when they're getting shot at on the ground and they're on the space doggies, by the way, Ezra's riding bitch on the space doggies. And they're shooting down. Ahsoka's in front and says, Ezra, use the Force, open the gate. And he's trying to, and he can't quite. And Ahsoka says, Sabine, help. And she sticks her hand out, and it's like, but hang on, she doesn't have the Force. At this point, she didn't. It's like, so who was opening the door? Is it Ezra and Sabine, or is it just Ezra? Like, why is she telling her to help? And why didn't she just try and help? But now she has the Force, which immediately leads to they look at how far, because the ship is taking off, how far of a distance of a jump is, and they're like, yeah, we can't make that. And Sabine goes, you can. He's like, what? He goes, you jump, I'll push you, and then you grab me. I'll jump and you grab me and pull me over. So the person who's literally only used the Force right now for the very first time and grabbing the lightsaber is now ready to push Ezra using the Force up into the Star Destroyer. And two stormtroopers came to the very edge of the landing bay and are looking at them. You know, they think, oh, they're too far away, they're not a threat. So Ezra's like, yeah, alright. He goes running, he jumps, uses the Force, jump. He starts falling, she grabs him and throws him up. But it looks like he doesn't quite make it. The two stormtroopers are looking over, and he jumps up and takes the two of them out. Calls her. She turns around. Ahsoka's now up there fighting Morgan and a bunch of stormtroopers. Those night troopers all arrived while she was fighting Morgan. Sabine doesn't leave. She wants to stay and help Ahsoka. All the stormtroopers just surround them and watch them fight. And then Morgan tells Sabine or Ahsoka, oh, like, you're stuck here now all alone, all your friends are gone, you're gonna die alone, blah blah blah. And you hear Sabine saying she's not alone. which really seems to annoy Morgan. All the stormtroopers go running around to try and fight Sabine, and Ahsoka just kills Morgan. The sisters up on the space donut with Fran go, oh, Morgan's dead, and he's like, ah, well, a noble sacrifice, for the Empire. Those two, Sabine and Ahsoka, then are still fighting some of the troopers, and Fran just says, yeah, but blow the shit out of the tower thing. So they rain it down, and they go, are you ready to get out of here? Like Ahsoka says to Sabine, are you ready to get out of here? And she goes, yeah. They go running and jump off the tower with all the stormtrooper, night troopers, whatever they're called, running after them. Do you remember in Back to the Futures 2 when Marty McFly jumped off the roof of Biff's casino and he thinks he's dead, and all of a sudden he comes up standing on the hood of the DeLorean? They did that because Sabine and Ahsoka come rising up on the Jedi shuttle. That's right, the ship that was crashed into the ground and had the engines blown to shit is fixed in like 15-20 minutes. It's fine now, it's all good. They run in, the tower collapses from the ship. They chase after the ship, they're gaining on it. Fran hails them and says, oh, Ahsoka, I'm sorry we didn't get to meet face to face, blah blah blah, but I knew your master, Anakin, which made you predictable. Which is stupid because previously he said, when he found out Anakin was Ahsoka's master, he said that means she'll be unpredictable like he was. All of a sudden she's predictable, but last week they were unpredictable. It fucking makes no sense. And then they just go hyperspace and out of there. They go back down to the fucking Ninja Turtles. And then we get a Return of the King 7 endings moment. And this is crazy. So we get a very small brief cameo from Shin, who is on a space doggy. No dialogue, arrives up to those raiders people in the red things. She just sticks her arm up in the air with a lightsaber, ignites the lightsaber, and that's it for her. Baylan, we get one shot of him. No dialogue again. He's standing out on a big type of statue carved into a rock, which apparently is something from either I think it's the expanded universe of this family. There was a grand wizard type old man, the son who looks like one of the Inquisitors, and the sister was good and all the rest, and blah blah blah. Apparently it's a very deep cut. You'd have to know the EU and stuff for this, but he's standing on that, but he's looking out at like fucking what looks like Mount Doom. You can see a little light kind of flash on it, so no explanation as to what the hell he was doing. And Ezra arrives. This part is stupid. Actually, the Star Destroyer arrives at Dathomir. That's where they are. We just see a bit of the cargo. We still don't know what the cargo is, but they're like, we've arrived at Dathomir, and they're like, yay. All of a sudden we cut to Ezra stole one of the Imperial shuttles off the Star Destroyer, which arrives to the New Republic fleet, lands in, they're all getting ready, Hera and stuff's there, they're getting ready to shoot. A stormtrooper comes walking out, goes over to Chopper, takes the helmet off, and it's Ezra, and he's like, hey, I'm home. Why did the New Republic not blow this thing out of the sky? How did Ezra get it off the Star Destroyer without anyone noticing? It's so convoluted and stupid. And why was he wearing a full stormtrooper uniform even when he made it to the goddamn New Republic? Idiotic. Bad writing. And it ends with Ezra or Sabine and Ahsoka returning to the turtle people, Sabine saying, I hope Ezra made a home. Ahsoka's like, he made a home. And he goes, he's right where he needs to be. We're right where we need to be. And then when it's time we move on. So once again, it's like, the threat of Tron means nothing. Because it's like, we need to get there as soon as possible. Then they got into the space whales. Wang went, what if they're not going where we're going? And Ahsoka's reaction was, anywhere is better than here. And now that they've let Thrawn get away, her reaction is, it's time to move on. Don't worry about it. Sabine then kind of senses something. She's like, Ahsoka's like, what is it? I feel it must be nothing. Shadows in the light or something. And Ahsoka looks over and has a bit of a smile and walks away. And what do we see? How does the episode close out? Force Ghost Anakin. Yes, actual Force Ghost Anakin. Why is he there? Don't know. Why is Force Ghost Anakin showing up to Ahsoka and Sabine and not fucking his son? Don't know. But that's how the show ends. 8 episodes. No progression in the story. No information given. No. We don't know what's in the cargo. We don't know what Balin's looking for. It's dog shit. Thank Christ it's over. If they get a season 2, it'll probably be about 2 years before we ever see it. Or are they just going to try and lead it into a movie that may and probably won't happen and no one's going to care about? But other than that, that's it for this review. Thank Christ Ahsoka's over and I don't have to watch this shit anymore. And with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.